Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next session in the Campaign Optimization Series. My name is Andrew Gaffney. I'm Editorial Director with Demand Gen Report. I'm really glad you could join us. We've got a great session coming up. Obviously, the world is looking very different, and marketers have been challenged and kind of to reset around messaging and tone and how to reach out to prospects and engage new companies. One of the things that we've seen come out of this is a lot of companies have really refocused and reset on their current customers, checking in, how they're doing, how they're dealing with this current situation, just really trying to get closer to them. And I think a lot of them have realized that that's a great opportunity and a great way to better understand their market needs, really taking what they can learn from their customers and using that as a valuable way to reach out to new prospects. So the next session is going to be titled Double Down on Customer-Centricity, Building Campaigns That Work. This session and all the sessions in the series we'd like to try to make as interactive as possible. We welcome and encourage you to share any of the content that you're seeing today on social media, any comments you have, any of the points that you see that you may like and think your network would get value out of. We would ask that you use the hashtag #COSeries in anything you post. You'll see that some of the handles from speakers are there that you can include in your presentation, in your social comments, and we'll be monitoring those as well. The presentation will last for about 35 minutes. We want to take questions and answers. We'll do that at the conclusion of the presentation. Please go ahead and type any questions that you have. You can do it right in the Q&A tab in the On24 platform. Again, we'll get to as many of those questions as we can at the conclusion of the presentation. Also, you can see there's an area where you can download related resources on this topic, and you can also monitor social media right within the platform. One of the frequently asked questions we get is the session is being recorded, so all registrants will get a chance to go back and review the content and also share it with their peers. So as I mentioned, great topic, great speaker. Let me introduce you all to Kirsten Markson, who is the practice lead for go-to-market at LeadMD. Kirsten lives and breathes value props, market segmentation, organizational strategy, and creativity, which you mostly all can relate to. But if you want to talk about old school market research, she's got you covered there too. Her proven methods help LeadMD clients across industries better understand their unique buyer's journey, execute innovative cross-channel campaigns that fuel growth and loyalty, and also measure it all. From market research roots to growing a SaaS marketing firm startup that sold for $150 million, to a recent stint teaching research methods at Arizona State University, Kirsten's collaborative approach builds bridges wherever she goes. When you're ready to speak directly to your buyers' hearts and mind, Kirsten's ready as well. Until then, she'll be hanging out with her family in Arizona, hiking the peaks and encouraging everyone around her to chase their dreams. Hopefully you're still getting out there and hiking some peaks, Kirsten, when you're not staying safe at home. Thanks for joining us. Really excited to have you today.
Thank you so much to be here. Okay, so hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining today. Again, I'm Kirsten Markson, the practice lead for the go-to-market team at LeadMD, which is a marketing consultancy here in sunny Scottsdale. There's definitely less hiking of peaks right now, but someday I look forward to getting back out there. So in just a minute, I'll cover our agenda and introduce myself further. But first, I'd like to share a little bit about the inspiration for this session. When we consider what we can offer at this time of great uncertainty, the first thing that we discussed as a team was how to help our clients get back to the basics. At LeadMD, we're advising our clients to focus on delivering hyper value to their buyers and customers right now. We feel like this is the best way to ensure that customer acquisition and retention continues during the challenging time that we're in and beyond. So in my experience, the most important basic is aligning to what your customers need now and in the future. These needs may have changed, and it's a great time to rethink the value you could provide to them, whether your brand is struggling right now or taking off in this new period of uncertainty. So what I'll share today are some practical ideas on how to conduct research and revamp your strategy quickly and efficiently so you can pivot fast and update your campaigns to focus on what your buyers and customers need today. I have a great introduction, but a little bit more about me. I did get my start in traditional market research, working at a firm that performed market research studies for movie studios. And in that role, I had a lot of fun doing studies, measuring people's interest in upcoming movies and their general attitudes about entertainment. I put a lot of work into those research decks and then saw where they landed, often as doorstops in executive offices. So that's when I became more interested in building strategy based on insights and seeing those projects through end to end. And this led to a lot of work in digital marketing agencies where I've largely been in strategy and insights roles, working with a wide variety of clients, B2B and B2C. Past clients have included American Express, the Nature Conservancy, and Shamrock Foods. I'm currently the practice lead at LeadMD, and we're a marketing consultancy focused on driving revenue through more effective strategy and full alignment between MarTech systems, sales, and marketing processes, and go-to-market strategy. About LeadMD, we focus on helping our clients to create the strategy, processes, and technology foundation to position them for growth. And today I'll present some of the techniques we use to help our clients better understand their customers and build more effective campaigns. I'll also share some of the observations and data we've collected from B2B buyers to get a better sense of their mindset today and how you can best show your value to gain their loyalty now and in the future. A little bit more about our approach. At LeadMD, we consider buyer and customer research as a critical foundation for a mature, effective sales and marketing organization. This framework, which you're seeing here, is what we call the Catalyst Marketing Framework. It captures what we feel are the essential elements of a mature revenue generation practice. Highlighted in green are the foundational elements to understanding buyers and customers that are critical to launching effective sales and marketing efforts. These include doing buyer research as well as documenting elements that underpin the strategy, including identifying your ideal customer profile. Although these are common best practices, teams sometimes can get sidetracked by day-to-day pressures and distractions. Getting back to being very buyer or customer-centric is hard and can be hard to scale. But right now, we feel that it's critical, now more than ever. During the session, I'll share some techniques to getting to answers faster so you can pivot more quickly and focus on the areas that will have the most impact. So again, today, we'll start with an overview about what B2B purchasers are struggling with and what they say they need from sales and marketing today. Then we'll cover techniques that can help you innovate and refresh your campaigns to be more buyer and customer-centric before discussing what to consider changing or updating as you re-envision your campaigns and go-to-market strategy. So as you know, we're living through a time of rapid and unexpected change. To try to better understand what buyers need from their B2B partners, LeadMD recently fielded a study to ask how they're feeling and what they'd like to hear from marketers. Before we discuss ideas on how to use this moment to refresh your campaign strategy, I'll share some data that LeadMD and others have collected about how buyers are thinking of their B2B providers and the type of communication that is most helpful to them today. First off, it's important to acknowledge that this period needs something different for everyone. In working with clients across industries, we're finding that the majority of companies are reducing spend on marketing and sales activity, but there are others that are growing unexpectedly and must suddenly adjust to increased scale. For example, we're seeing this for our fintech and tech clients who must absorb significant user volume given the massive increase in digital usage. So as you think about buyer challenges in this moment, they can be very different between industries. There really is no one-size-fits-all approach. Even within your customer groups, there may be wild variation in experience right now. In order to develop the right ways to pivot, consider both the industry, company size, and persona of your buyers and customers and how they may vary. It's an important time to be targeted in your communication and your approach. Despite the fact that there's a lot of cost cutting, there's still opportunity out there. Half of the B2B buyers we surveyed are moving forward with planned purchases or making additional purchases at this time, despite the instability in the market. Even if they're open to making purchases, there are many buyers that find a hard sell message not only annoying, but also inappropriate at this time. The quote here is from one of the buyers we surveyed, and it echoes what we've heard from many people. It says, "I understand everyone needs to put food on the table, but the volume and the effort seem inappropriate at this time." The sales and marketing communication at this time should be both appropriate and valuable. There's a big risk of sending the wrong message and appearing insensitive and self-serving if there's no calibration of your strategy to reflect the current situation. Instead, I want us to lead with empathy. In our survey, we asked a number of questions about what they are dealing with today. First off, the majority said that they wanted their B2B providers to know that they're dealing with a lot of disruption. A third can't make the purchases right now. While this is not unexpected, it's a reminder that marketing must have sensitivity. If you want your messages to cut through the noise of all else that's going on, it's critical to ensure that you're offering timely, relevant information that will be useful enough to pay attention to and acknowledges that their situation may have changed. The buyers we surveyed still want to hear from marketers, but what they want is meaningful communication. They want education and information versus a hard sell. They also want to know how their B2B suppliers can support them to get the most out of what they have now. Are we getting it right so far? We asked the buyers we surveyed if they're hearing enough from their B2B partners. It's split, with about a third saying they're seeing the right amount of communication and a similar number saying they're hearing from us too much. So, split. Our data confirmed that there is no one right answer for every industry and situation, but there is one thing that will help ensure you're best positioned to come out of this situation stronger, and that's getting even closer to your customers. This means really listening to what they have to say, seeking out information and data to better understand their behaviors and needs, and building agility into your marketing processes so you can adjust as things are likely to remain uncertain for a while. Given that people's day-to-day is changing a lot right now, it's a great time to take a fresh look at your campaigns and your go-to-market strategy overall. Because despite the fact that people may not be able to spend right now, they're hungry for information. This is leading to an increase in engagement with marketing that offers value information and, unsurprisingly, a decrease in interest in overt sales messaging. This stat that HubSpot shared shows how engagement with marketing emails is up 25%, and sales engagement is down the same amount. What is confirmed by the data is that it's more essential than ever to provide hyper value. Now is a great opportunity to rethink or focus on how you can educate, listen, inspire, and problem solve for your buyers and customers. So it's easy to say that you need to be buyer-centric, and no one goes into marketing or sales without a strong dose of curiosity and intent to really get to know what their buyers and customers think. But a lot of times, conventional wisdom takes hold. Having a mature, buyer-aligned organization requires reviewing and refreshing your understanding of people's habits as their needs change. Sometimes it can feel like you need to take the time out of a very busy schedule to conduct or refresh buyer or customer research, but there are ways to do this in a lean, efficient manner. And what I'll cover next are some strategies for doing this that are lower cost and effort, but can power valuable new thinking about your messaging and campaign. First, now is a great time to help your team identify their ideal customers. Knowing what signals that a customer will be ideal for your company will help your sales team focus and help you spend your marketing budget more effectively. The gold standard for achieving this is to use data science to identify the signals that a prospect will be more likely to convert. This is the approach that we take at LeadMD. But if you don't have the benefit of access to a data scientist or even very clean data, it's possible to take first steps to focus your targeting and sales prioritization. Start by reviewing your most recent sales. What trends emerge? Are prospects that move more quickly or easily through the sales and marketing funnel from a particular industry, type, or size of company? Do they have a particular type of buyer or role on the committee that is a reliable champion? There may not be budget to do this exercise in an ideal way, but the basic analysis is always still useful. Once you have a better idea of your ideal customer or customers, you can continue to work through how to better align your campaigns to meet their needs. I've used for better understanding buyer and customer mindsets is taken from user experience design and design thinking, called an empathy map. An empathy map captures information about a customer or user's emotional state and day-to-day activities. It organizes information in a simple way that will help you understand a buyer or customer journey and thus how to create campaigns and messages to align to their needs at each stage. We know that current buyers in any industry are dealing with a lot of disruption and likely new ways of working and new budget realities. This tool, which captures what people are thinking, feeling, saying, and doing in their day-to-day, can help you get more specific about what that looks like for each of your ideal customer types or persona profiles. Ideally, this information is answered with direct customer research. Some cheap and easy ways to accomplish this are simply by just asking. Offer a gift card or some time with for some time with a prospect or customer, or invite them to join an advisory panel. People are hungry for information and connection these days, so you may find it easier to catch someone's attention and get some of their time. If you can't directly access customers, use proxies who have more time with them than is typical on marketing teams. This could be sales teams, customer success, or the product team who may have existing user research that can illuminate the new messaging opportunities or information needs. Your customer research at this time should focus on building that foundational knowledge if you haven't updated it in a while, or updating your understanding of the buyer and customer journey. We've included a number of questions that can lead to this knowledge on the slide here. These include defining how they spend their time, how they prefer to research new solutions, their daily pain points, and much more. An empathy map should help you understand their lives more holistically than just their interactions with your product or brand. Thinking bigger will help you innovate how you address their needs in campaign messaging and may illuminate new channels to try. Once you've evaluated the steps in your buyer or customer journey, map it. Building the map or updating one will put you in the mindset of how to better engage your customers through your campaigns and give you direction on where to focus your problem solving. Ideally, a journey map is a data-driven representation of the actions, questions, and emotions of your buyers and customers as they move through the process of learning about and then choosing your solution and then using it day to day. A basic journey map should be a living document that can help you better understand the steps the buyer takes, including those that are visible to your team, and also pre-funnel research that is not. Documenting this will give you the ability to focus your efforts to create the right content to help lead buyers through the buying process. Is there a place on your funnel that typically causes a deal to slow down? Focus your problem solving there. What can you provide in terms of content, offers, or other value that will support your buyer and customer through this phase of a decision? The key is to put yourself in the mindset of the buyer and use as much data as possible to answer questions about their journey. As you're building or rebuilding your map, note any differences by customer or persona. Have their activities changed recently? Has the buying process gotten more complicated? Do they need additional approvals or types of information? Answering these questions will position you to start defining where you can focus your campaign ideas for maximum impact. Customer understanding, either in a formal manner or more ad hoc, you're in an excellent position to re-envision your campaigns. The main goal going into planning is to identify what they're thinking about as they seek out your product or services and what is going to engage them today. Doing the exercises we just discussed will allow you to be more easily get into their mindsets and therefore develop ideas that are truly buyer and customer centric. Knowing that everyone is more distracted and overloaded than ever, it's critical to start by answering how you could add the most value at this time. The answers to these questions should provide focus for any new or refreshed campaigns. Sell or discount offer may not be enough to attract attention right now. Budgets have been cut for many, and even a great discount or special payment terms may not be able to move the needle. If that's the case, it's time to rethink how you represent your brand's value and what you can offer now. As I mentioned before, educational content is getting strong engagement. You may also be able to provide connections or partnership options previously unexplored. Although a sale may be further out in time due to economic uncertainty, there are meaningful ways you can create increased loyalty now by being more altruistic. This investment in a buyer or customer relationship now is likely to pay off long term when budgets increase again. And on the slide here, I've offered some ideas on how you can provide additional education through advice and consultation, other types of support for your champions, offering more research and trends if you have data that will be interesting to your audience, some community and access, creating discussion forums for them, offering job leads, other ways to connect to industry professionals, as well as digital events, and then traditional offers like deals and terms, so unique payment terms, better pricing and discounts, or other forms of partnership. All of these things will help you refine your offer if you are thinking deeply and honestly about what your buyers or customers need today and what you can offer them that has real value. Your offer, it's a great time to revisit your purpose. B2C brands consistently find that the enthusiasm and loyalty of their customers increase when they focus on what their brand stands for when it comes to social good. This is also important for B2B brands. Everyone would prefer to buy from a company that aligns with their values. For example, one of our clients provides HR software for recognition bonuses. Their value proposition is that their software can seamlessly provide thank yous to staff at large companies. They recently launched a website to collect and show digital thank yous sent via social media to healthcare staff around the world that are caring for people during the pandemic. Although this isn't an activity that will bring them any immediate revenue, it's a way to reinforce what they stand for and to build goodwill and community around the purpose that they hope to serve. Efforts like these must align to your brand and to your customers. Looking misaligned or worse, inappropriate, will erase any goodwill. For any new campaigns in the time of crisis, context and sensitivity are, of course, critical. If you've done the work to get to know your buyers, you're at less risk of going wrong here. Being authentic, unsure, and even vulnerable is okay in the face of the uncertainty of this time. So is being humorous or light if you hit the right tone. It all depends on context. Your offer and your messaging, make sure to also check in on your channel strategy. Your strategy is to reflect new behaviors and new opportunities to engage today. We're seeing competitiveness and costs for some platforms and keywords going down as budgets are pulled or reduced. But digital usage is going through the roof on every platform, including LinkedIn. You may find opportunities to shift budget to better performing or new channels, given that people are living their lives primarily online right now. It's a great time to not only adjust your campaigns, but also to focus on your processes. If immediate revenue growth has slowed, projects to improve operations, team alignment, and performance will position you well for activity when things get back on track. We're seeing many of our clients invest time and resources to improve data visibility and integrate systems to build a better data foundation. We're also involved in a number of projects to help sales and marketing teams get better aligned and fully realize the potential of account-based marketing and sales enablement tools and tactics. These efforts will create stronger cohesion and productivity today and set teams up for a brighter future as well. But realigning around your buyer and customer needs will create more goodwill and engagement now, even if it doesn't lead to an immediate sale. Being generous with your useful content, removing the pressure of more overt sales messaging if your buyer is unlikely to have budget, and finding new ways to add value is a long game play. The benefits may not be felt immediately, but they'll set you up for success later. If your buyers are facing reduced budgets, success may be signaled by increased engagement with content and thought leadership versus direct sales. But if you're adding value at this critical, uncertain time, those buyers will come back when they're ready to make a purchase. Being caring, serving as a connection point, and building community won't necessarily create immediate revenue opportunity, but they will create goodwill at a critical time. Your campaigns and all of your customer-facing activities should communicate not only the value of your product, but the values you hold as a company and a team. Success may look different right now, but getting it right will have huge impact later. And that's it. I've done a lot of talking, and I'd love to hear people's questions and responses.
Awesome, Kirsten. What a great ideas and information into less than 30 minutes. You actually brought us in under timeline there, so perfect. Thank you. We got a bunch of good questions coming in already, so I just want to remind everyone in the audience, if you didn't already type in a question, go ahead and do so now. So, Kirsten, you shared the HubSpot research, and you shared some other examples. Obviously, campaign performance has felt the effects of this on a number of levels, but Julie was asking if you could share any other changes you've noticed in campaign performance since the pandemic and everyone's starting to work from home, et cetera.
Well, I think it's really interesting because what we saw immediately was just less engagement overall at first. I think people were just overwhelmed with too much that was happening, and marketers weren't pivoting their strategy much. So there was some feeling, I think, of just fatigue that everyone was either kind of inundating them with sales messages that hadn't shifted, or was speaking so much about their response to COVID that that wasn't really relevant to their business. So as we've seen the strategies shift to be more focused on how to offer support we've seen, similar to HubSpot, the marketing engagement and engagement with content go up, especially around search. People are looking for ideas. They're looking for guidance and support. So I think the search channel is really important if you've got your foundation in terms of your content and you're really clear on what your customers and buyers are looking for. You can provide a lot of value right now in that format. So I would say that. We're also just seeing LinkedIn advertising being an important channel, so into just more and more engagement on LinkedIn. And sadly, this is probably partially in part due to a lot of people experiencing layoffs and furloughs. So there's a flood of traffic there, but also just in general, people looking for community and connection. I think business leaders and professionals are just spending more time looking for guidance, advice, and ideas on those platforms. So it's a great place to be more active right now, and social in general, I think, as we've seen usage go up overall.
Great. I love the way you approached it with sort of revisiting different areas of marketing and strategy. One of the things that resonated with Jenny and the audience was around revisiting messaging and tone. She asked if we could give any more examples or thoughts about how to do that. It seems like something she's struggling with.
Well, I think, and this is a kind of a dodge of an answer, but being sensitive to your customers and kind of where they're at. We're seeing some pretty different variations in that. So as I mentioned, we have a large number of fintech and tech clients that they're seeing their businesses skyrocket right now. They're getting a lot of usage, they're getting a lot of interest and sales. So their messaging is a little bit different right now. They are focused on helping their customers scale, providing solutions as digital usage go up. So there is a very different message than some others in healthcare and other places that are having that are taking a different, more serious tone, I would say. But we have seen, I think you see a lot that is very, very serious, very appreciative of people who are working hard and trying to keep the country on track. So any kind of messages of thanks go well, but what we're seeing from buyers also is really just tell me how you can help my business. So hitting the right note of being straightforward and just being clear about how you can help them get the most out of their solutions. That really was a theme, not only in our clients. So just, again, offering straightforward advice, helping them navigate some of this uncertainty with their own kind of situations and customers. Those are that straightforward tone. I think it's also important to be kind of authentic and vulnerable and to not presume that you have the answers. So hitting that right note, again, of offering advice, offering resources, offering support without being too insensitive to what their situation could be. I won't name the client, but we have seen some clients who are seeing their business, really go gangbusters right now, do a lot of celebratory posts on about the success, and that also hits the wrong tone right now because there are so many people that are suffering the other way. So I think that it's about context sensitivity, and I really encourage, as marketers build these programs or try new things, to get some feedback from people outside of their marketing team, even maybe some customer feedback if you have direct relationships, or people in customer success or sales or product teams, again, who can just give you a gut check. We're also seeing that people don't necessarily want to know everyone's perspective on this particular situation, so you don't have to feel compelled to even name it in your campaigns or acknowledge it directly, but talking about uncertainty and how to navigate that, talking about how things are changing, and being, again, very straightforward. We've seen that be a good strategy.
Okay, awesome. One of the slides you shared from your B2B buyer research was something to the extent of enough is enough, that there's definitely some level where people feel like they're sort of being over-communicated to. A question from Carl was around cadence. If you feel like campaign cadence could or should be adjusted during this time, are you seeing any trends there or tips you'd share there?
Yeah, I again would look at your own data and see how things are performing relative to historical norms. And if you're seeing engagement go down, it's really important to think through what you need to change there, and if you're reaching out too much. And I think we've actually had clients that had direct feedback to some of their sales messaging, even if it was nurture streams that they weren't really paying much attention to. But people are getting in touch to say, this is actually, this is not appropriate, this is insensitive at this time. So looking at reactions to them, but also looking at how they're performing and whether it makes sense if they're not performing well just to stop them for a bit and try something different. So again, I think this is pretty different between industries, but I do know that a lot of the outreach that's happening is getting a strong reaction, especially at the beginning. I think as things get a little bit more kind of normalized and people are back to work and trying to navigate the situation, there'll be more openness to more outreach and a regular cadence. But definitely at the beginning, it was deemed insensitive, and I think that is a really kind of a big ding on your brand if those things are happening. So look at engagement. If it looks like it's going down, dig into that and try to understand if this is a moment in time thing or a thing that has to do with revamping what your messaging and approach is there.
Awesome. Bill identified with the stat you shared about sales engagement, dipping. He said he's struggling with how to help his sales team, stay in contact and be relevant. Anything you could share about what you've seen with your own teams about sort of how to do sales enablement in this climate, or just how to help sales stay in touch and be relevant?
Yeah, so I've seen we're involved in a number of projects and that are connecting sales and marketing teams at this time. And one of the asks that I've seen the sales team make that is interesting is just more sharing of kind of industry and market trends. So these are unexpected times. Things are changing a lot. So marketing teams can provide a lot of value right now, just kind of sharing what they're seeing and just getting more of the conversation going. Because one of the things that we found, and that's been confirmed in a lot of other data, is that engagement with just information and advice and support, that's really high. So when the team can lead with that and share something interesting and relevant, I think that comes from either sharing industry trends, and so kind of crowdsourcing those among the marketing team, having a lot of communication back and forth about how customers are responding to that, sharing best practices, and making sure you have kind of a process to collect those little nuggets of articles that are helpful, or pieces of content that are particularly relevant, just ensuring that the sales team is armed with those, and that you have, in a best practice, you have the tools where all of that content is shared and stored that everybody's using. But if you do not, then just making sure your communication is really clear. So I think integration of sales and marketing, because you're seeing things from a slightly different perspective, it's really more important than ever to be sharing ideas and content.
Awesome. We had a question from Glenn about market research. He said that they are having discussions to try to do more like of their own surveys and bring data into their messaging, and asked if you had any recommendations about best ways to do that or best practices.
Sure. Well, I think that, in a lot of context, market research gets kind of a bad rap in the sense that people see it as something that is going to take a long time, that you have to kind of stop production of things to go do, that it has to be really buttoned up. But there's been such an explosion of tools that enable quicker surveys and quicker research to go out. And so I think using those tools, if you want to ask questions, just get less. And as a market research professional who has worked with a lot of people who are professional statisticians, they would probably really not want to hear this. But I think getting out there, just asking the question is better than waiting for it to be perfect and waiting for your the science behind it to be perfect. So if you have questions you want to answer, do some individual one-on-one interviews to start, just to check if you're on the right path and see where that leads. You could do surveys through tools like Qualtrics very efficiently and quickly. They have a lot of analysis tools on the back end that can help you do that more efficiently without as much support. So there's a lot more self-service tools that enable marketers to get those answers. I've also seen using things from user research, like user research interviews, that you can access people who have signed up for panels to do that. You can get feedback on the messaging from your website, for example, very quickly, and set those up very cheaply. So I would say if you have an interest in doing it and questions you want to answer, find ways to do that kind of iteratively and with more agility, because it's moving fast, and reflecting that in your strategy is important. So using the tools that are available and just kind of jumping in, I'm a big proponent of trying it out and seeing what happens.
Awesome. All right, we're going to take one more question. Kirsten, you've got some great responses. Appreciate your patience. A few we won't get to, but again, I'll forward those to Kirsten and ask her to follow up with folks directly. The last one I wanted to ask you was about user sites. This one comes from Sue, asking how to better integrate that into their communications and marketing strategy. Just any thoughts you have on how you're working with review sites or how you recommend it for clients.
Yeah, I think we all know that people look to review sites for just to verify if it's a good solution. They take those comments from people who are leaving reviews very seriously. It's a big and important part of the research process. So I always advocate being very close to those platforms, understanding the content there. So there's a few different ways that they're useful for campaigns. One is they are essentially a live focus group about your solution or product. So you can see where the pain points are. You can get some directions on what you need to talk about in terms of addressing objections in the sales process, et cetera. So there's a huge opportunity from that perspective to get lots of information. And I think, being active there, reaching out to people who are commenting if there are negative things, having that interaction is important. And then also using some of the comments that they have, if they're good, asking if you can use them in your marketing. So getting more credibility by using words and reviews from people that have used the product is always helpful. And I think that's a great strategy, is just directly capturing some of that and using that in your messaging. Because people put a lot of stock on other people's feedback and reviews like that in their overall buying processes for just about anything. So I think trying to find both the information and mining the good stuff that's in there just from a knowledge and messaging perspective, so research perspective, but also just using that feedback to actually put some of that into your marketing messaging. Some of those quotes can be very powerful as well.
Okay. This has been awesome. I really appreciate, Kirsten, all the great insights and taking all the questions. Really good stuff.
Thanks so much. It's been enjoyable. Thank you for having me.
Okay, that concludes this presentation. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Just a couple of reminders before we leave. The next session will be tomorrow at noon Eastern. That will be how to use online video and webinars to engage audiences in a virtual business world. Hope you can tune in for that. I also want to remind everyone, go back and check out any of the sessions that you might have missed during the series. They'll all be available on demand. So hopefully you can take advantage of all the great content. So thanks, everyone, for joining us, and stay safe.
Thank you.